You are now listening to Nexxlegacy Radio, a radio station for the people.
Welcome once again to the AM Buzz, the afternoon buzz as well. For you people out there on the East Coast, I am Branded, and my guest, like I said, like we've talked about it pretty much throughout the show so far, is a person I definitely want to talk to and have dialogue with, and I know he's doing a lot of things out there to help others, not just man, woman, and child, but also the clergy and also the people out there that's trying to not just have good holidays, but just to be able to, just like I said earlier, just to be able to, stay sane in the crazy world that we live in. And I want to welcome the Bishop Hillard on to the show. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored to be on the show.
I appreciate it. I am great. Happy holidays. I know it's early, but still,
Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well. We're right there at Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're right here.
Happy holidays. It's I know Thanksgiving and Christmas and, things like that. And let me ask you this to kind of start off, because I've always been, this time of year is always a good time of year for me personally, just because, I get a chance to see so many people giving, sharing, doing all the stuff that I feel like we should do throughout all the other seasons. But, in my opinion, but let me ask you this. When it comes to this time of year and the holidays and the giving aspect of itself, do you feel like even though this is, it's full steam ahead with the holiday rush and all that good stuff, do you feel like it's enough throughout not just this season but other seasons as well?
I think the holidays for people, it depends on how you were. I think how you grew up, how significant giving was put in your philosophy or your theology of the season of giving. And I think for some, the season is not a season of giving, but a season of receiving and taking. It is supposed to be a season of giving, but also not only that, it is also a season of great pain and depression for many people. So while many people may want to give gifts, people also need to take time and give time to people who are grieving, people who are grieving the loss of a loved one, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a job. Certainly, our church is engaged as many, and we will give away several thousand toys and baskets of food at Thanksgiving. We will feed hundreds of women at one of our locations on Christmas morning from a homeless shelter, and all of those things that I think are the nature of the church that we're all called to do. And we're all called to reach out and be our brother and our sister's keeper. But certainly, in addition to that, I think we need to train our children that the holiday really is not just about what we can get, but what we can give.
Right, and I'm hoping that, especially with our young people out there, that when they hear a lot of us, I want to say older folks, but I know we're both young at heart. I am, and I know you are. So when we have. When we have some of our younger people out there that is so confused by the materialism in this world. I mean, a lot of kids, and you know this too from, talking to many kids and young adults, is, they kind of seem like they're nothing without having certain things, certain material things. And that's not the way that we want to teach our kids and our young adults, right?
Yes, but I think it's something that we created out of our own guilt. I think we have replaced things with time. We have replaced time with things. So there's very little table time. There's very little table talk. There's very little time of training at the table at home. Everyone eats from the stove. There's very little of that personal touch. And I think that as a result of that, we have suffered and given birth to a generation that is very self-centered, and a generation that really does not care about anyone else other than itself. And it really is the fault of the parents. You can only give us so many iPods and iPads, but if you're guilty, and of course parents must work, but sometimes I think we give things instead of giving time, and what our children really need is time.
Right. And I think that's important, especially.
Examples. Yeah.
And I think that's
Like
important, Bishop, just for the simple fact that we have the time aspect is important. Like, I mean, and to me, especially if you have, younger kids growing up, and that time, it's just like I always tell people out there. I tell fathers like that out there because I'm a dad myself, and, the time that you have with your child when they're growing up from, babies to, 9, 10, 11 years old, you will never, ever get that time back, and they will always remember the time that you spent. So it's very important for a lot of us, fathers, mothers in general, just to be able to make sure that you do have that time and not let the iPads and the television babysit your kids.
Particularly those of us who are in the healthy profession. Pastoring is 24/7. And
right.
It was a deliberate act on my part to make sure that I did not let the ministry eat up my family. So it was God, my family, and then the church. So I would give my church, my office, I would give them my children's school calendar, and then I would take my calendar and work it around ballet recitals and jazz recitals and soccer games and softball games. I have 3 daughters, because I never wanted our children to grow up hating the church because the church stole their father. Your children are only going to be 8. They're going to be children until they're 18. And you don't want to miss the football games and the basketball games, but you'll be doing what you're doing for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. Bishop Hillard is our guest on the AM Buzz. And you mentioned earlier, Bishop, about just the depression, a lot of grief. A lot of people have at this time of year that wish they can be able to give gifts, but not so much, be it job-wise, or they just purely just can't afford it. I know you have a webinar that's upcoming that's dealing with a lot of that. Tell the listeners a little bit about what you're trying to do and how you're trying to actually do this to help out the clergy as well.
Well, this is going to be and please excuse my sore throat, the weather's changing. It's going to be a live streaming conversation on the cries in our community, and it's for pastors who are crying out. We just regrettably, a pastor shot himself to death after church last week, and then we read of another pastor that shot himself to death. Many pastors are crying out. They're overloaded. They're under a great deal of stress and strain, and so the depression can be exacerbated at the holidays. So many people don't know how to cry out. If you don't cry out, you'll cave in. And so not just pastors, and certainly we mourn the loss of these pastors, because if the spokespeople for hope begin to blow their brains out, that's a very sad commentary on where we are. Because we're supposed to be the spokesperson that the light overcomes the darkness. That's what the whole season is about. But for many people, it is a season of depression. For me, this was my first Christmas without my mother, whom we buried early September. And so for me, it is a situational depression. But other people deal with bipolar depression or clinical depression. I'll come through this, but it is a glad, sad time. So I've got to lean in on the family, my children, my wife, my son-in-law, and I encourage. We have also grief share groups at our church. I encourage people to reach out and touch people that at this time, this is the time when you miss mother, you miss your father, you miss your family, you miss the traditions that you had. And I encourage people to make their own traditions, to start new traditions so that they can get through the day and get through this season. The other thing I need to say very quickly is also the end of the year. And when the people come to the end of the year and they evaluate what, maybe they didn't reach the goal that they wanted or the goals they had set for the year, it can be very disheartening and embarrassing for them as they move into the new year. And we have to be more patient with ourselves. Sometimes your dreams for 2013 may not have been realized, but set them for 2014. Don't allow the dream to die because the year has changed.
I completely agree, and especially because I think it happens every day with us. I mean, you and I know the listeners out there and others that when it comes to goals that you set for yourself, and you may not achieve those goals by year's end. Sometimes you have to self-reflect and look. Maybe I could have did this a little bit, but I have a new year going in, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. So a lot of times it's looking at yourself in the mirror. It's realizing exactly what else do you have to do in addition to the goals that you set, just to be able to just get a little bit more motivation from yourself. So a lot of it is self-reflecting in a lot of ways, right?
It's self-reflecting. In fact, the second Sunday night in January, I'm starting again my Sunday Seeds motivational webinar, which helps people realize their dreams and format their dreams and their visions. So that's separate from this pastor's live stream. But let me go to my website before I forget, DonaldHilliard.org, or the church, the cathedralinternational.org, to find out these things. Of course, I'm on Twitter, Facebook. But I do want to say this. If a dream does not come to pass, it does not mean you have not failed.
Right.
Sometimes you've got to change your dream. Sometimes you've got to have enough courage to change your dream and say, this I thought this was where I was going, but life is like a river, and so I need to follow the direction of the water and go where destiny is calling me, and where destiny called me may not be where destiny is calling me now.
That's right. Amen to that. And Bishop Hillard is our guest on the AM Buzz, and we mentioned earlier just about just certain things as far as the grief and the depression, and and just the times that we do have, and the holidays that's here, and it smells like a holiday. It tastes like a holiday. It just, that camaraderie and that family building, and, people missing other family members that's not here on earth, that, that kind of all ties into just a lot of grief that a lot of people share as well. And it's not as exposed as it should, but just people out there that know that they can be able to hit up your local church and, and others, just to be able to, have that sense of family, because we're at the end of the day, Bishop Hillard, we're all supposed to be here for each other. That's really our mission in life, right?
We are here. That is the purpose. We are our brother and our sister's keeper, and we also need to take the Band-Aid off of depression and cease to make people who are depressed feel as if they're less than, or if there's something wrong with them. Depression is like diabetes, like hypertension. It can be treated with. I'm a firm believer in therapy. A therapist. I'm a firm believer that if a person is clinically or bipolar depressed, sometimes people may need medication. But there are many people that live with depression and are living wonderful lives. And we have to kind of take the stigma, particularly in the church, and particularly in the African-American community, take the stigma, because many people on the holidays, they self-medicate. They'll overdrink, or they'll, do things that will kind of self-medicate but won't bring healing.
Right.
And that's something that's very, very key. But it will not bring healing. And we want to try to be our brother and sister's keeper and get them healed, get them freed. And sometimes a cup of coffee and a conversation can go far more than a gift that's wrapped in paper and nice bow.
Very true. Very true. Let me ask you about just your own personal music experience. I know your daughter, has her musical career as well. So when you step back, I'm going to ask you about just some of the favorite musicians that you've listened to throughout your lifetime so far. But when you step back and just look at the evolution of music, how do you feel about it?
Well, I think, I'm 56, so back in my day, people had real instruments, and, they did a big show. people had real instruments and they had real costumes and real outfits. And now it's a different day. You can people pay good money for somebody to come with a T-shirt and jeans and say 1 2 1 2, and that's not an indictment of this generation. It's just
right.
a little different than my artists were like Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Ohio Players, that kind of thing. And, of course, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, Anita Baker, things of that nature. And, of course, any and all kinds of gospel I've always enjoyed. I like classical music and jazz. My daughter Leah is a multifaceted artist. She sings a myriad of a great genre of music, summertime, Ave Maria, as well as jazz, as well as R&B, but also she can just rip a gospel selection. And so she's got a wonderful music career. She's a phenomenal actress, as well as a phenomenal motivational speaker. She has a master's in education, but her passion is singing and acting.
All right, now.
She's pursuing her passion now. Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's what her passion is, and we're supporting her passion.
Well, I think you're right because I'm not 66, but I'm young enough and old enough to know exactly where the culture of our music genre, as far as our creativity, kind of lies. And not knocking some of the younger stuff that's going on, but at the same time, I think it was a harder road to go. Just coming up with creativity and just being able to make it. And I know it's somewhat slightly easier now because everybody can be a musician, have a record label, do everything they need to do online. But at the same time, it wasn't created and built if it wasn't for the people that you just mentioned and what they gave to the industry prior to today.
And I don't think we can ever forget the roots of any industry, whether the church roots, gospel roots, R&B roots, jazz roots. Someone paved the way for us. Now, I know you didn't just say 66. I said I was 56.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I just don't want to, I don't want to lose my religion here. I'm 56.
Hey, Bishop, I didn't want to age you 10 years. My apologies, sir.
I'm 56. I just want to make sure now.
Hey, and you're young enough. You're young enough to embrace. I mean, Bishop went. As far as just the music, and you mentioned the simple fact that it's a little bit easier now. But even DJs, it's you can actually do a lot of DJing online now as opposed to getting records to spin in the mix and different things like that. So. From the aside from the people that you mentioned, as far as the Earth, Wind, and Fires, and then in Aretha Franklin's, when it comes to this generation's music, who can you actually take a listen to and be like, you know what, I like that?
Well, I think I tried. I've got daughters. My wife and I been married 32 years, and we have 3 daughters, 30, 31, 27, 24. And the son-in-law is 26. And so, we have to be, and of course, a church full of young adults, and you must be engaged and know exactly what's going on out there. I may not know all of the artists, but I try to know at least a few so I can put them in my messages and kind of wake the people up. I think there is a message in the music. I think the music now is far more raw. It's more in your face. Some of it is very decadent and very dangerous. Some of it is calling our girls out of their name, and I certainly don't affirm nor do I endorse that. But some of the music is a scathing commentary on some societal ills, and that we would need to listen to, and really, just like our music, really gave birth to the civil rights movement.
Right. So
their music is kind of speaking a message as well, and then some of it's very dangerous. Some of it's very dark and dangerous. But by the same token, some of it is very enlightening and socially motivating and moving.
I always believe in if you have a story to tell through music, those are the best kinds of stories to actually do it vocally in any way, as far as just, you know, and especially when you do it like that, I think it can be related to so many other people when you do tell a story. And even if the story is something that is not relatable, at least it's yours. And I think a lot of it, as far as the art form itself, I think if it's your art form and you're creating it and you're telling your story, if it has a story, there's a lot of music out there that cannot tell a story or don't tell a story. They're just so out there with it. But, you know, I love storytelling, and it's at its finest, especially musically. So that's kind of how I see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The music is universal language.
I agree. You can be able to follow Bishop Hillard on the website, donaldhilliardjr.org. And Bishop, go ahead and give out your Twitter again, which I am a follower of you as of right now.
Oh, good. Bishop_Hillard. Bishop_Hillard is my Twitter hashtag. I'm on Instagram. I don't remember that address. I'm on Facebook. Don't remember that address. But again, I don't remember that address, but I do know my Twitter address, and I do know that my website is donaldhilliardjr.org. My church web address is bishop@cathedral.org, and we would love to stay in touch and communication. And again, you know, that's what the generation is helping us to stay abreast of what's going on. This is a different age. Highly regrettably, though, I think technology is great, but technology should not replace touch. We need to touch and talk and communicate face-to-face, and not just to find our face always in a cell phone. We really do need to talk to our children, to talk to their parents, and we need to talk and shake hands with our parishioners and communicate with each other and show love to all people.
Amen. I completely agree. Do not express your feelings through text messaging. That is the worst thing to do. I completely agree.
Very much so. Very much so, yes.
Bishop Hillard, please do not be a stranger, and happy holidays to you and yours and to your congregation as well. And thank you for taking time to hang out with us. And again, you are an inspiration.
I certainly hope in the new year you'll reach out to me. I'd love to talk again, and I'm honored to be invited, and feel as long as you know I'm not 66, I'm 56. So we'll be cool.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you are the young 56-year-old Bishop Donald Hillard Jr. That's what I'm going to call you, the young bishop now, young 56.
Well, I'm going to keep you an offering, but find me.
There you go.
That was some very.
Hey, Bishop. Even when you turn 57, I'll still call you the young 56. That's what I'm going to do.
And see, and I'll be your friend forever. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay.
Bishop Hillard, happy holidays. I'll be connecting with you on Twitter. I know you're active there, so you'll see me.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, and God bless.
God bless you too.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.